Swamin Namaste Natalokabandho Karunya Sindho Patitam Bhavabdhau Mamuddharatmiya Kataksha Drishtya Rijvyati Karunya Sudhabhivrishtya Swamin Namaste Swamin Namaste Swamin Namaste Swamin Namaste Kvachin mudho vidvan Kvachidapi maharaja vibhavaha Kvachid bhrantas saumyaha Kvachid ajagarachara kalitaha Kvachid patri bhutaha Kvachid avamata kvapya viditaha Charatyevam prajnaha Satata paramananda sukhitaha Kvachin mudho vidvan I think I did not chant today. Likes and dislikes. I like to chant, but I am not able to chant. What to do? Maybe I'll chant at the end. Then my voice will become a little better. Okay. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru. So, last we met in this global satsang was before the Guru Purnima. Actually, I was to have one talk on 7 July before the Guru Purnima, but I fell sick. And then the Guru Purnima happened. And now I am again in front of all of you. But since the Guru Purnima and retreat have passed, many of the thoughts are around Guru Purnima and retreat. Many of you have watched the Guru Purnima as well as the retreat sessions online. Some of you might not have listened to all the lectures, but as some close people, they are saying that we have not been able to hear everything, but we are catching up. For us, the Guru Purnima and retreat is the most auspicious, most divine, and very joyous occasion. And we were all the more happy because Pujya Swamiji's health was okay, and he was in everything just like before. And though all of us told him not to take 2 sessions, he took 2 sessions. And all of you know who have heard how powerful he was in both the sessions. Actually, this Guru Purnima and retreat, it was after 3 years. The last we had physical one was in 2019, and after that we couldn't have. And we were not very sure whether we will be able to have the physical retreat or not, because COVID cases were sometimes increasing, sometimes decreasing. There were viral fevers all around. And as usual, our health department said that, yes, you can hold it. So we went ahead with all the preparations, but we were not sure how many will be able to come on the Guru Purnima day. Generally, many devotees come here and stay in the ashram from all over the world, also from Kerala. And on the Guru Purnima day, many from near about Thrissur, they come, attend the program, they take the prasada and leave. Also from the village, many come. So we were not really understanding how many people will come. But to our surprise, it was a very good gathering. And After a long time, seeing many physically, and this devotional atmosphere, the devotional ambience, which filled the whole ashram by the presence of the devotees, and everybody filled with devotion, taking part in the Pada Puja, while actual Pada Puja was being done by a couple. All of us were doing the worship of the holy feet mentally and with mental flowers. After 3 days, we had the retreat. And this was a very unique retreat. Generally, the retreat would be following the Guru Purnima. But this time, we decided to have it after a few days. And there were not many participants. It was a small group, and in a way it was good, because being a small group and I think we found all of them very serious and sincere, we could also give our attention to everybody, each and everybody. We met everybody individually, talked to them, understood about their seeking, their pursuit, what they are doing, also their lives, what they do, what are their aspirations. So it was very nice. We had intended this retreat to be a little different from all other retreats, and wanted all the participants to be completely immersed for these 7 days in a very spiritual and divine atmosphere, so that they remain focused, listen to the lectures, they introspected, and we expected that they will write notes, discuss between themselves, try to assimilate, ask questions, and to some extent it was like that. So though there was a gap of 2-3 days between the Guru Purnima and retreat, where we were getting ready for the retreat participants to come, once the retreat started, again, the whole place, especially this hall, from morning to night, it was charged with, seekers' aspiration, I would say. We found that everybody was very, very attentive. So, we asked the participants that for the last 2 years, in the global satsang, I think all 3 of us, Pujya Swamiji, Nathan Swamiji, myself, we had by that time
Jai Guru, we had a brief interruption because of current and power supplies. It is being restored and soon we'll be back with Ma. Jai Guru. Please be patient if you face any further difficulty. We are restoring all the power lines back.
I hope this is not making a sound in this. So, what I was telling you is, we asked the participants in the global satsang for the last 2 years. Each one of us, we had talked for, 87 lectures each. So, 3 of us, 87 lectures. So many lectures have been there, so many talks. And there was a regular group of listeners whom we could understand, even though we were talking online, who were very, very sincere, serious seekers, who were writing to us, talking over the phone, asking questions. So we were asking what made them decide to come in the physical sannidhi. So most of them said that though they have been listening online, on the screen, and they understood the knowledge, there was a great yearning to be in the physical presence. And for last 2 years, there was no possibility to come because of the COVID. And once the retreat was announced, they felt like coming. And they also added that after coming, they are understanding what difference it makes to come in the actual physical presence. So much different it is to just to look at the screen and listen, and to come and sit in front and listen. And additionally, many of them said, almost all of them said, that after coming to the ashram, they understand how the ambience and atmosphere of the ashram is so very different from their households. Here everything seems to be so divine, so pure, so sublime. Although a lot of activities are going on, still there is always as if they are surrounded by spirituality and divinity. Now, that is why, our Swamiji always says that the ashram revolves around spirituality. Here everything revolves around spirituality. From outside, it may look to be a very big place with so many people, so many workers, staff, everything going on. Here also people are, going for marketing, bringing things, and so many gadgets are there, so many facilities are there. But the difference here is that, why people feel a difference is that here, those of us, we are staying here with always a feeling and yearning and aspiration to live and to act with always remaining connected to ourself and also to the universal self. All that we do is with that kind of a yearning, aspiration, and actually being so. Not only that, trying to see the self everywhere, our all activities, it is never for us, we always are working for others. That expands the mind. Very little things, simple things, which everybody may be doing in the household also. Here, the attitude is completely different. The attitude is divine. The attitude is auspicious, godly. So that is the difference. So when these people, the participants, said and expressed to us that there is a lot of difference between, I remember some of them saying that we are seeing in big screens, but still it is very different to be actually sitting in front and seeing. And also observing the speakers, especially our Swamiji, observing everybody, all the inmates of the ashram, how we work, how we are managing this big program, how everything is planned and executed joyfully, but not with any anxiety or worry, lovingly. Even our workers and staff, they are also very joyful. So I think that became a great difference from the households or from the worldly life from where people come. Hearing this, it was very nice actually. In fact, while hearing, I was also thinking that many are watching online. I think there are many people watching online. So why is it that others do not feel like coming? Why is it that many of them did not feel like participating in the retreat after 2 years of COVID? If the seeking has grown, has intensified, then definitely one would feel like coming in the proximity of the Guru, proximity of the Mahatma. So why it did not happen? So that is a question that I am asking you. If you feel, you can write and tell your replies. Now, in this, when we spoke to them, apart from the lectures, personally I am saying, my lectures, we were so much busy preparing for this program after nearly 3 years of not arranging such a big program. I think we were also very much at a loss. And we got very busy. And in that busy period, constantly being asked, what is your topic, what is your topic, what is your topic? I said, I really I'm not understanding what differently I can speak. As Namrata was telling in the beginning of my talk, that Ma talks about the sadhana. I think I cannot speak anything apart from sadhana. Whatever we listen, read, try to understand, all the knowledge, the spiritual knowledge that we are constantly coming across, all that how to bring into one's life and how to grow with it. I think I can talk only that. So I was telling that I don't know what differently I will speak. Now those days I was reading from Prabhatarashmi and explaining, and I felt I stopped at a point where for any seeker, what is the sadhana? The sadhana is to remember God, remember self, remember Brahman always, every moment. To find him within, inside, and to find him without, everywhere. So, whatever we think, we speak, the actions that we do in all our interactions, in all situations, we cannot but get away from this thought of Brahman or self or God, whatever you may feel like saying. So, what else shall I speak? But still I was being asked. Then I said, okay, I will speak on imbibing the qualities of a knower. And I think that is a very, very, very dear topic for me. Dear in the sense, as I said, and as it is in the Shastras, yani sthita prajnasya lakshanani tani eva sadhanani. Whatever are the characteristics and the lakshanas or the qualities of a knower, a sthita prajna, a realized person, those becomes the sadhana, those become the sadhana of any seeker. That is, we know of the self, we know of Brahman, we know that our aim is to realize the self, but it is very abstract. We do not know how to go about it. So whom do we follow? We follow a person who has realized the self. And what do we follow about him? We see him, that he, though he is just like us, a human being, he has qualities which are very great and noble. And those are all qualities of the self or Brahman, attributes. So, what we can do is that we can try to imbibe those qualities and assimilate them, live them. This becomes a sadhana, very, very, very easy. At least we are observing or reading about them. Suppose we do not have a chance to observe any realized person, then we are reading about them. In Bhagavad Gita, there are so many qualities written about a knower. In Viveka Chudamani or any other text you take. So you take some of the qualities and try to imbibe them. That is the beginning, and that is very deep in trying to do that. So in trying to do that, actually, we find that the knowers, whatever they do, they may sit, stand, eat, lie, talk, do some activity, immersed in some activities, they are always thinking of or connected to the thought of Brahman. They are Brahman actually. Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. The one who has realized Brahman, they become Brahman. Become Brahman means what? They have the attributes of Brahman. They are taintless like the sky. They are immovable, changeless. They are unaffected, fearless. They are always with the feeling that I am imperishable. I am not this perishable body. So, these few we have to bring to our, as knowledge we may be knowing it, we may repeat it many times, explain to it to people, but we have to live it. So, imbibing the quality of a knower, that is, I think, a basic sadhana one must pursue. And not only that, in that, the greatest thing is what they are. In Aparoksha Anubhuti, it says, Drishtim Jnanamayim Krutva Pashyed Brahmamayam Jagat. Sa Drishti Paramodara Na Nasagravalokini. Drishtim Jnanamayim Krutva Pashyed Brahmamayam Jagat. Sa Drishti Paramodara Na Nasagravalokini. It says that the ordinary vision has to be converted into one of knowledge. What knowledge? That everything is Brahman. And look at the world with that knowledge. You may think everything is God, everything is Brahman. How do we can see it? It is just a line of a shloka. The first line is this: Drishtim Jnanamayim Kritva Pashyed Brahmamayam Jagat. So you convert the ordinary vision into one of knowledge, Jnanamayim, and then view the world as Brahman itself. It is a sentence. How do we do it? Do we want to do it? If we are a seeker, we must have that aspiration. Every moment we are doing our activities. We are in our lives. And we have grown to live in a certain way. When we become a seeker and we think that I will imbibe the qualities of a realized person, what a realized person does, he does everything as usual like any other human being, but his drishti is jnanamayi. He has the spiritual knowledge by which whatever he interacts with, he looks at, he thinks, everything becomes Brahmamayam. How do we do it? We also, in our actions, interactions, we should stop and think, am I thinking in a worldly manner? Or am I thinking, connecting it with God or Brahman? This little introspection, little stopping, stepping back and thinking, am I thinking in a worldly manner, acting in a worldly manner? Am I clinging to the world? Am I having attachment? Am I having possessiveness? Am I having ego? Am I having desires? Am I having expectations? Or am I living like a knower who doesn't have any of these? Who feels everything is Brahman? Everything is Brahman means what? When everything is one Brahman, all this happens, we become possessive of a thing different from us. We expect something from a person or something different from us. So whenever we have a feeling of duality or a feeling of differentiation, all these emotions or sentiments or the bhavas, they come. So when we see a realized person and we understand that they do not have this kind of differentiation, their mind is always poised, always unaffected, always joyful, because there is no feeling of differentiation. Whatever comes, they do. Whatever is necessary, they do. But they do not cling, they do not possess. So, we also should try to imbibe those. So this is one in Aparoksha Anubhuti. It says, Drishtim Jnanamayim Kritva Pashyed Brahmamayam Jagat Sa Drishti Paramodara. That is the noblest vision. That is the noblest vision, not what we look at and think, oh, this is like this is very beautiful, this is very ugly, oh, this is very rich, or this is something I should have. Those are not. When you feel that, oh, everything is laden with God, everything is laden with Brahman, that is the noblest vision. And even if we have not reached that, we want to reach, we should reach. We should have aspiration and yearning to be like that. And na nasagra avalokini, not that by which you just sit for samadhi and you try to meditate and attain samadhi. You may attain samadhi, but then samadhi will break. You will again be in the world. And again you will find everything different from you. What does it mean? How does it give us any kind of, any meaning? So, if we are wanting to meditate and attain samadhi also, when the samadhi is broken and we get up into this active world, we must find Brahman in everything. And it says, Yatra yatra mano yati, all this from Aparoksha Anubhuti. Yatra yatra mano yati brahmanas tatra darshanat. So wherever the mind goes, you find Brahman alone. How will you do it? My dear children, how will we do it? Habit. We have to work hard. Just for education, for profession, how much we have to work hard. If we have an yearning to reach this state, the fact is that people do not yearn. Yearning is less, aspiration is less. Aspiration and yearning is for worldly things, which only increases the ego and possessiveness. If we aspire that, oh, you know why? Who are these devotees or knowers? They find God everywhere. Everywhere is God. And knowing that, this is what we should do. Follow them. Everywhere we have to see God. We are not seeing everything as God. But we can introspect and think. Each and everything is from God or Brahman. Everything is its expression. Nothing belongs to us. We cannot control anything. We may plan, but sometimes the plans will be fulfilled, sometimes not. So we cannot say that we can control everything. Nothing belongs to us. To keep this knowledge, the thought, constantly in the mind, feeling that the whole universe is filled, or it is the expression of God or Brahman, feeling that divinity, even though while working, while in living our day-to-day life, many moments we will miss it. There will be moments, most of the moments we will not remember it. But at least at some time we will remember. And that remembrance, if you make it a habit of remembering, you will find it will become a habit. It will become something of your own. So that is why it says, Yatra yatra mano yati brahmanas tatra darshanat. Wherever we go, there is Brahman, there is God. We feel like this. In our ashram we sing Shankaracharya's one composition. Beautiful, every day. When we do Pushpa Samarpanam to Pujya Swamiji's holy feet, we end with these shlokas. Yatraiva yatraiva mano madiyam tatraiva tatraiva tavasvarupam yatraiva yatraiva shiro madiyam tatraiva tatraiva padadvayam te. Same thing. It is only talking about the God. Yatraiva yatraiva mano madiyam. Wherever my mind goes, tatraiva tatraiva tavasvarupam. If we consider this whole universe, it is only God or Brahman alone. It is his Swarupa. Every expression is his Swarupa. Whatever we look at, initially we have to think like this. We have to ruminate over this, reflect over this. Yatraiva yatraiva mano madiyam. See, our mind, it is such a restless thing. It goes to wherever it goes. It goes to various places, to various people, to various incidents. Something's imaginary. I am sitting here, I am talking, while I am talking, I am thinking of a distant place. People who are not here, or things which had happened long, long back. There will be a sudden flash. The mind is like that. But if we can think wherever the mind is going, since there is nothing but God, nothing but Brahman, actually I am in Brahman and God. tatraiva tatraiva tavasvarupam. Yatraiva yatraiva manomadiyam tatraiva tatraiva tavasvarupam. Yatraiva yatraiva shiromadiyam tatraiva tatraiva padadvayam te. And this is my existence. I have this body, my head is there. Wherever my head is, wherever I am going, I would feel that I am bowed down to that universal presence, God, Brahman, the supreme power. The head is there. What do we think about our head? We are always very, very egoistic. We are proud. I have achieved this, I have attained this, I am that. This is what we think. But a devotee or a seeker thinks like this. He thinks, wherever my head is, it is bowed down in reverence, devotion, love, and humility. Because everywhere you are, so I feel that everywhere, wherever I am moving about, my head is on your holy feet. Yatra yatra mano yati brahmanas tatra darshanat. And nimeshardham na tishtanti vrittim brahmamayim vina. The aspirants of Brahman do not remain even for half an instant without the thought of Brahman. Even for half a moment, we cannot think, cannot remain without thinking. Nimeshardham na tishtanti vrittim brahmamayim vina. Even for half a moment, we cannot remain without thinking about Brahman. You know, when we read this, we must compare with our own minds. We are talking about whom? About the realized people. And our aspiration is what? We should go towards them, following them, attaining their qualities. How are we? Does our mind think of Brahman always? No. What does it think about? It will think about the family, wife, husband, children, grandchildren, house, property, education, profession, bank balance, name, fame, prestige, all these things. Our minds are full with that. Even when one progresses in seeking, even a renunciate will think, have I progressed? Am I better than the other renunciate? Am I liked by people? Do people know about my knowledge? One will think about how much one knows, how many scriptures one knows, whether I am quite good in explaining. Are people following me? All these thoughts will be in the mind. If all these thoughts are there, it is not Brahman. So, nimeshardham natishtanti vrittim brahmamayim vina. Either, whatever you think, whether worldly or about Brahman, you find in everything only Brahman. Yes, I have thought of many things, but is that not also an expression of Brahman? We have to grow to that stage where we find whatever we do. See, at the end of each lecture, I sing this song. And in this retreat, Swamiji explained this shloka. Sampurnam jagadeva nandanavanam sarvepi kalpadrumaha gangam vari samastavari nivahaha Punya samasta kriyaha vacha prakrita samskrita shrutishiro Varanasi medini sarvavasthitirasya vastu vishaya drishte parabrahmani nimeshardham na tishtanti vrittim brahmamayim vina. When that happens, when a seeker reaches that state, when one is not remaining without thinking about Brahman even for half a second, this what happens? What happens? Sampurnam Jagadeva Nandanavanam. The whole world becomes a Nandanavanam, a heavenly garden. The whole world, everywhere, it is not very beautiful. As there are flower gardens, there are drains even. As there are fragrance, there are some odors which we do not like. So it is good and bad. But when drishte parabrahmani, when one remains in Brahman, finds Brahman everywhere, then what happens? Sampurnam Jagadeva Nandanavanam. Everything looks Brahman and Brahman alone. It looks like a heavenly garden. Sarvepi kalpadrumaha. All the trees, as if they are heavenly trees, wish-fulfilling trees. Even if there are thorns, it is good. Why it is said, the life, in our life, we have ups and downs, success and failure, good and bad, adverse situations and favorable situations. But when one drishte parabrahmani realizes Brahman, remains in that thought of Brahman, then everything becomes good for him. So sarvepi kalpadrumaha gangam vari samastavari nivahaha. All the water, it becomes holy river, holy Ganga, Ganges, as if it is Ganges water. And punyaha samasta kriyaha. All the work that we do, it is a punya karma. Punya karma. When we do some activity or work, worship, maybe we do worship, we clean a puja room, collect flowers, light a lamp, burn an incense stick, chant some slokas, try to propitiate God, we feel it is a punya karma. But when we have to go to markets, buy vegetables, we cook in our kitchen, we sweep and mop, we feel it is a worldly work. It is not punya karma. It is non-spiritual, non-devotional. There is the difference. There is the difference. When one becomes one with Brahman, drishte parabrahmani, nimeshardham na tishtanti vrittim brahmamayim vina, then what happens? Then punyaha samastaha kriyaha. Whatever you are doing, whether you like it, you dislike it, whether in others' eyes it is a punya karma or not, because you are always reveling in Brahman, rejoicing in your own within, in your own self, you feel that you are doing auspicious acts always. I would ask, sometimes when people here, when they come, prayers they like. Early in the morning, when it is still dark, the whole world is just waking up. The birds are chirping, very cool breeze, everything is quiet. At that time we go to the prayer room and we chant, we worship. So, there are some who have to, during that time, in the ashram I am talking about, They have to come to the kitchen and do work. So I asked them, do you mind leaving the prayers and coming to the kitchen and work? I would ask them, suppose you have a duty in the prayer room where you are cleaning the prayer room, bringing flowers, putting kolam. The auspiciousness and divinity that you feel, the same divinity you should feel when you come to the kitchen. Clean the slabs, wipe the slabs and the platforms of the kitchen. Start cutting, chopping vegetables and cooking. As cook, not for yourself, not for anybody. Cook for the divine, for God. And thinking, I will get prasada after offering whatever I have cooked. So punyaha samasta kriyaha. So any work, anything other than worshipping should become a punya karma. Whether we are sweeping, mopping, we should think, suppose I was cleaning a temple, what feeling I will have? I'll have the same feeling if I am asked to clean the pathway or clean a toilet. Punyaha samastaha kriyaha. My dear children, these shlokas, these are experiences of knowers which they have written in the form of shlokas. They have composed. Vacha prakrita samskritaha shrutishiraha. Whatever you talk, devotional talk, non-devotional talk, spiritual talk, non-spiritual talk, everything is shrutishiraha. Everything is a scripture. What joy you will get, what knowledge you will get, what kind of rejoicing you will be having, reading the scriptures, the same you will have from any word that you speak. Varanasi Medini. Wherever you go, you will feel that you are in Varanasi. Every place will become Punya. Every place will become auspicious, divine, like Varanasi. Sarvavasthitirasya vastu vishaya drishte parabrahmani. For him, every avasthiti, every situation becomes divine, becomes auspicious, becomes full of that supreme knowledge, drishte parabrahmani, one who has realized. So this, when a seeker starts seeking and treading on the path, that is the aim. And how we go about? Remembering them, constantly remembering, in whichever situation we are. We should remember that my aim is this, to feel always that I am surrounded by divinity. I am surrounded by a spiritual feeling. Feel inside you that presence, which is imperishable, which is your own self, your own real nature. That is what is sadhana. And sadhana has to be strengthened by reading the scriptures, listening to the scriptures, by ruminating, by contemplating, by meditating, and seeing God or Brahman everywhere and inside. Knowing that there is my existence is nothing. We feel that I am this, I am that, I have done that. It's nothing. So, I was saying that I can talk only about sadhana. In that process, in my sadhana, I also read scriptures and I'm very fond of shlokas. so learned many slokas. When we talk, many slokas will start coming into the head, that tell me also, tell me also, tell me also. But as you know very well, these days I am not able to chant the slokas as I would like to. But then that is also sadhana. You have to go beyond likes and dislikes, beyond preferences and prejudices. So if I can sing, it is okay. If my voice is okay, that's all right. Voice is not all right, that is also okay. So I was telling you about the participants, about the retreat, and what they all thought. I told you that we met everybody. Since the group was not very big, it was big no doubt, not very big. And in the 7 days, we thought if people have come, and that too after 2 years of some of them, they were saying that they were keeping track, wanting to know when the ashram is open, when it will become open, so that they can come. Because they felt that although they are seeing online, their mind was wanting to come in the physical presence. So we thought we will, though the whole day was very busy, we made it a point to meet everyone individually, everybody. And it was very, very good to know about them. They are seeking what they want, how much serious they are, what are their aspirations, what are their obstacles, all that. So, talking to everybody, I felt that this is one common problem is, one is not very clear what is this sadhana. One may be practicing something, there may be some routines, but the routines become mechanical. Day after day, the same thing, same thing, same thing. So the heart and mind, they are somewhere else, and one feels, I must chant these many shlokas, I must sit from this time to this time, in that time I should be reading these or meditating for some time. And some of them found that although they are very interested, they are having knowledge, understand what is self, understand these spiritual nomenclatures, they don't have routines. So the time is just going past, no routine as such. So when I was talking, I felt, I don't know, all of you who are listening online, how are you? Whether you have some routines in your life, whether those routines are becoming mechanical, whether after reaching somewhere you feel that I've got stuck, how to go further? And what is that further? Is it that after having intensified the seeking, listening, reading, contemplating, ruminating, meditating, discussing, and finding a lot of joy which one doesn't find in other things, one has become satisfied and complacent, so that they feel this is enough. I don't know, my dear children. But I can tell you this, whatever may be your states, the sadhana is to reduce this gap of feeling this is worldliness and this is spirituality. What is this spiritual wisdom? I will read from Prabhat Rashmi again. In Prabhat Rashmi, Swamiji has said at one point that what is this sadhana? Everybody who is a seeker must have a sense of sadhana which is austerity, devotion, and pursuing this spiritual knowledge. So, this austerity and sadhana should be in everything that one does. Whether you are in the household, whether you are in an ashram, whether you have come in the proximity of a realized master, or whether you are not, if you are a sadhak, if you want to seek and grow in this seeking, at least you are interested in this path, then there should be spirituality in everything that you do. How you cook, what food you eat, what dress you wear, how you have arranged your house, what type of pictures if you keep in your house, what are your thoughts, what are your discussions, how do you spend your time? And all this will be spiritual if and when you feel the necessity that you have a spiritual routine, and not only a routine, it cannot be a routine, mind you. All routines becomes mechanical. All routines become mechanical. It should be something by which constantly you will be reminding and remembering that you are connected to God, you are connected to Brahman. That kind of a routine, which will constantly make you remember that you are in Brahman, always connected to God. So Swamiji is writing in, this is the Prabhat Rishmi, not writing actually. These are the Prabhat Rishmis, as you know. You will find it in the books Prabhat Rishmi. Swamiji has actually talked, and which have come out in the form of books. So he is saying, what is spiritual wisdom? It is an understanding, an enlightenment, which takes away from your mind and intelligence all kinds of differentiation. Wisdom removes the bheda-buddhi. What is bheda-buddhi? Differentiation. Bheda-buddhi, the dividing and contrasting intellect that differentiates between godly and non-godly, spiritual and non-spiritual. This is what happens. Everybody whom we come across, we find that for any seeker, that from there we start actually, because we have grown up like that. We feel that these are devotional hours or spiritual hours of our day when we spend in some spiritual or devotional practice. Rest of the time is non-devotional and non-spiritual. This bheda-buddhi. So what Swamiji is saying, what is spiritual wisdom? It is an understanding, an enlightenment which takes away from your mind and intelligence all kinds of differentiation. What kind of differentiation? The bheda-buddhi. The wisdom removes the bheda-buddhi, the dividing and contrasting intellect that differentiates between the godly and non-godly, self and non-self. It is on this point that most of the seekers, devotees, and even ascetics remain deluded. We constantly feel that if we meet like-minded people and spend some time, that is spiritual. But if we have to do something different, we get agitated. And some work we like, which is regarding some spiritual activities, and if it is not worldly activities, going to office or maybe housework, we feel that time is wasted. So, what is spiritual wisdom? Not finding any difference. How can there be a difference? If Brahman is everywhere, then where is the difference? We have to understand that. We have to do different things. It's not that all water we can use. There will be some water we cannot drink. A person who is seated in Brahman, seated in the self, will not make this bheda-buddhi, will know that everything is Brahman, but in reality will not go and drink slushy water. Will use the good water only. So, this feeling agitated, see, this godly and non-godly, what is the effect of that? Effect is that when we feel that we are in the spiritual atmosphere or godly atmosphere, devotional atmosphere, we feel very happy. If we are not, we are distracted, we feel agitated sometimes, disturbed sometimes, sorrowful. That feeling should go. There comes the feeling of poise, feeling of unaffectedness. It is on this point that most of the seekers, devotees, and even ascetics remain deluded. So, in the ashram, when somebody comes, they find that we are doing many things. It's a very big family. Some people will say, oh, you are doing everything that we do. I remember one day one lady had come, one devotee, seeing me curdle the milk at night, because those days I used to curdle the milk in the Annakshetra. So she was there. She was saying, oh, you have to curdle the milk also. Then we have to do everything. Everything that is necessary in one's own household, we have to do everything. Much more than that, maybe 100 times more. But why is it devotional? Why is it spiritual? Why is it that the ashram runs around spirituality? Because we are constantly trying to remain in this thought. That is, everything is for God. Nothing is for me. Everything is for the others, and in that others, everywhere we find the touch of God, touch of spirituality. And definitely there is a sadhana and seeking in that. With our mind and intelligence, we try to remember, try to tell ourselves, try to introspect, assess ourselves when we are not thinking like that, and the next time we start thinking like that. That is the sadhana, which you can do in your household. Every one of you can do in your household also. Constantly assessing, introspecting, looking into your mind with the intelligence, understanding it, analyzing the thoughts, the words that you have spoken, what activities you have done, the interactions that you had, whether you have behaved all right or not. Everywhere we can find out whether we have considered ourselves to be spiritual, whether we have remembered that I am a spiritual being, I am a seeker, I must think like this. If I have not, okay, next time I will think like this. This is the sadhana. To constantly reduce the gap between godly and non-godly. As there comes a state when, you may experience the self in samadhi, but the moment you come out of samadhi, it is again the plural world that possesses your mind and intelligence. So, Samadhi is not the solution, because we have to come back from samadhi into the world. So we are discussing what should the sadhana be, the post-samadhi sadhana, when we are in the world. How do we become unaffected, a jivan mukta, a liberated person, even in the midst of activities? A state when the seeker realizes that there is the self and self alone. That state has to be aspired for. In that state, he perceives oneness in everything, so much so that he is not able to think of anything different from the self. He perceives oneness in everything, so much so that he is not able to think of anything different from the self. Nimeshardham na tishtanti vrittim brahmamayim vina. He is not able to see anything or feel anything different from Brahman. My dear children, it is possible. It is possible. Just have that aspiration, the feeling, at least a little bit of it, and that aspiration will grow. It is not that the perceptual variety gets lost or dissolved. The plurality is not destroyed altogether, but it gets soaked in the oneness of the self. See, the plurality will not get dissolved. I am seeing a camera, I am seeing a clock here in front of me which is telling me that my time is getting over. I am seeing so many people here sitting this side and these people here. The lights, very hot. So, the plurality is there, it will remain in everything. But the plurality is not destroyed altogether, but it gets soaked in the oneness of the self. You know, when I read this line, and in the book also it is written in bold, I was so overjoyed by the expression in which Swamiji has expressed it. The plurality is not destroyed altogether. People may think that, oh, all the bheda-buddhi going miss, we'll see everything as the same. No. The plural world will remain as plural. Only thing, we'll find everything, the core of it as Brahman. And when we find this, we will not hate anybody, will not dislike anybody, will not be sorrowful, will not try to possess and expect. Desires will drop. So, in a sense, everything is Brahman. The plurality is not destroyed altogether, but it gets soaked in the oneness of the self. So I said that I was overjoyed. Read it several times. Actually, when we read again and again, new meanings come. So, whenever I read such things, which Swamiji has expressed, I feel so overjoyed. If I find him nearby, I will go and say, "You have written it so well, Swamiji." So here it was early in the morning, I was reading. So I have given a comment to Swamiji. Beautiful. I have written by the side of these lines, beautiful. That is giving a grade to Swamiji of, oh, how beautifully you have written it. And that is the truth. The pinnacle of spiritual pursuit consists in attaining such a state of uniformity and unbroken realization where self alone remains. The pinnacle of spiritual pursuit consists in attaining such a state of uniformity and unbroken realization where the self alone remains. Atma upamyena sarvatra samam pashyati Arjuna sukham va yadi va dukkham sayogi paramo mataha. What is that? It says, whatever you do, whatever you are, wherever you are, everything the same Atma is there. In Sukha it is the same Atma. In dukkha it is the same Atma or the self. Everywhere is the self. Everywhere is the self. Sukham va yadi va dukkham. Sukha and dukkha, the ultimate mental effects of all kinds of interactions. For all kinds of interactions, we are actually concerned with the interactions. When we sleep, we don't have any interaction, no problem. Our problem is our wakeful hours, interactions. And good interactions, we are very happy. Bad interactions, we are very unhappy. But what does it say? The plurality is not destroyed. Sukha will be there, dukkha will be there. Good will be there, bad will be there. But it gets soaked in the oneness of the self. But the self, it reveals in the midst of all that, you remain absolutely soaked in the knowledge of the self. Absolutely, as if guarded by the knowledge of the self. Govinda parirambhita. So sukha and dukkha are the ultimate mental effects of all kinds of interactions. Whether it is sukha or dukkha, both are expressions of the self. The sun causes light. It is the sun that causes darkness also. How? By its absence. In light, the sun shines in the form of presence, and in darkness, it is revealed by its absence. Likewise, the self alone is revealed in both sukha and dukkha. Thus, sukha dukkha should become coeval with the self. These thoughts, it has to be constantly rotated in the mind. My dear children, you should not become, what to say, you should not feel that, oh, this is very, very high. Will I ever be able to achieve it? We'll see whether we will achieve it or not. But at least walk towards it. Try. Even every step towards it will give this joy, this liberation, this freedom. It will take away a lot of obstacles from the mind, constrictions from the mind. It will expand the mind. Why? Because whenever we will even think, when we are happy, it is the expression of the self. When we are unhappy, oh, this is also the expression of the self. So I need not get too much depressed or too unhappy. When we think like this, the constrictions or the expectations of the mind that I should always be happy, I should not get anything unhappy, that falls. And we get a samatva, a feeling of equanimity. That gets revealed. That is the attribute of the self. Equalness. Likewise, the self alone is revealed in both sukha and dukkha. That is, the sun causes light, it is the sun that causes darkness too. In light, the sun shines in the form of presence, and in darkness, it is revealed by the absence. Likewise, the self alone is revealed in both sukha and dukkha. Thus, sukha and dukkha should become coeval with the self. God interpenetrates the whole of creation. Everywhere it is God or Brahman, God and Brahman or self, whatever you may call. God interpenetrates the whole of creation. This one sentence, if we have read it correctly, from the very moment what we see, we will find the touch of God. Not only what we are seeing or interacting with, immediately it will give the touch of God. If we read it with love, with attention, with alertness, The creation has its imbalances, conflicts, and contradictions. We all know that. We suffer it in our lives. Everybody's life is full of these, what? Imbalances, conflicts, and contradictions. But God remains Himself, unaffected by whatever takes place in His creation. When you know that you are the Self, and the Self is no other than the all-pervading Brahman, you too must remain unaffected. God remains unaffected. He is everywhere, but He is unaffected. He brings about in our lives all these contradictions, ups and downs, so many things. But if we can remember we are the Self and that all-pervading Brahman, then we also will be unaffected in life. When you know that you are the Self and the Self is no other than the all-pervading Brahman, you too must remain unaffected, unconditioned, uninflicted by whatever happens. Do you get it? So clearly written, so clearly explained. We must remain unaffected, unconditioned, uninflicted by whatever happens. And what is this whatever? It means whatever happens physically, whatever is happening in the mind, and whatever may take place in the external world. Let the body be restless, let the mind be agitated, let the intelligence bring forth its arguments and undulations. In spite of all this, the underlying perception of oneness and the resulting unaffectedness must remain undisturbed. Undisturbed. This is how it is explained. This is how it is. This is how we are, in a sense. We have to aspire for that and work every day, a little bit. I'm telling you very lovingly, little bit every day, every moment. You may forget, again remember, again do, and see the joy you will get. See the joy we will get. Okay. Sampurnam Jagadev Nandanavanam Sarvepi Kalpadrumaha Gangam Vari Samastavari Nivaha Punya Samastah Kriyaha Vacha Prakrita Samskrita Shruti Shiro Varanasi Medini Sarvavasthitirasya vastu vishaya drishte parabrahmani Sarvavasthitirasya vastu vishaya drishte parabrahmani. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru. I feel that this pursuit, this seeking, this walking step by step is very easy. Don't worry. It's very easy. Just love it. Love to do it. Jai Guru.